Welcome to the Queenbreaker's Bow review. The bow is an exotic fusion rifle that can be obtained from the Elder Cipher bounty. It is a very unique weapon to say the least. It's a fusion rifle that thinks it's a sniper rifle, and a lot of the stats are misleading or surprising, so keep your eyes peeled for unusual details about the bow. When you look at the stats, the first thing you'll notice is that it has an abysmal impact for a fusion rifle. However, that is mitigated by the fact that this fusion rifle can crit. The range is excellent. Stability really doesn't matter at all because all 7 bolts are stuck together, and the mag size of 6 is excellent. Reload is high, and the most important of all, aim assist is seriously high. For the sights, you can choose between marksman sight and combat sight. And kinda like the ballistic options in other guns, the scopes change the stats of this weapon. Marksman sight increases zoom and impact while decreasing the charge rate. Combat sight increases charge rate but decreases impact and zoom. The zoom is pretty low, so you get a wide angle view, and marksman sight's zoom is actually identical to that of ambush or shark gaze. So you can get an idea of how much zoom the bow has with either sights. One last thing to note about the sights for now is that while marksman sight has the sniper glint, the combat sight doesn't. The first perk is hipfire, and it increases hipfire accuracy. This perk helps shape the gun as a hybrid between fusion rifle and a sniper rifle, as it has a hipfire accuracy of a fusion rifle. Although the bolts are stuck together, increased hipfire accuracy is nice, as it allows you to hipfire an enemy when they're close enough and can sometimes result in crits. With the hipfire, I found that I can consistently take out blade dancers. I crit them from distance first, then I hipfire them to finish them off. The next set of perks are single point sling, flag magwell, and send it. Single point sling allows you to switch weapons faster and move faster while ADS. Flag magwell increases reload speed, and send it increases the range. None of these perks are super useful, and basically it's up for your personal preference to choose between these perks. I personally found flag magwell to be not so useful due to the plentiful mag size of 6, and during my time with the bow, I didn't notice the slightly increased range that comes with send it to be useful. If you need more range, my advice is to go with the marksman scope. I personally prefer single point sling because of the increased movement speed while ADS, which allows me to strafe better and gain some advantage while sniping with the sling. The last perk is hidden hand. Planet Destiny did an excellent video on the effects of hidden hand, and their conclusion was that hidden hand really doesn't make that much of a difference with sniper rifles. And I have to agree that hidden hand really doesn't make that much of a difference in this fusion sniper. I didn't notice or feel much difference before and after I unlocked this perk, and while it does give some room for error, it can sometimes throw you off. What actually matters is the naturally high aim assist of 80, which makes landing headshots a lot easier. Now the last stat I'm going to cover is probably the most important one, ammo. It has a metric ton of ammo, and the abundance of ammo essentially allows you to use this like a primary. It can hold up to whopping 89 rounds with an armor perk that increases the fusion rifle ammo. In PvP with the armor perk, you spawn with 18 rounds and pick up 22 rounds per special ammo box. What this means is that you are never going to run out of ammo ever. This is very useful for extended gunfights in PvP and PvE, and this is one of the areas where the Queenbreaker's Bow has an edge over the regular snipers. So I've been alluding a lot to the fact that this is a fusion rifle with sniper characteristics. In fact, in PvP, it kills people with 1 headshot and 2 body shots like most snipers, and the gun shoots like a sniper but with the hipfire accuracy of a fusion rifle. So is it a fusion rifle that can crit or a sniper with a charge time? Now people have very divided opinions about the bow, so some of you are going to disagree with me no matter what I say, but I would say this is more of a sniper with a charge time rather than a fusion rifle that can crit. The reason for this is that fusion rifles can one-shot people with just body shots, whereas with snipers, you have to land crit to one-shot people. What this means is that it's a sniper but with the handicap of a charge time. Let's see what that translates into in PvE and PvP. In PvE, this gun is a great fun to use initially. It's got so much ammo that you can just snipe the whole game. However, as a sniper, the problem is that it doesn't hit hard enough. Not only does it have low impact, but it also has lower crit multiplier than normal snipers. It just takes too many shots to kill tier 2 and majors when compared to regular snipers. Against lesser enemies, this is fine to use, but so are your primaries. So what's the benefit? Like I said, it's being able to snipe the whole game. You keep your distance, you slowly chip away at the enemies, and while its DPS and damage per shot is not good enough to stagger them or kill them fast enough, you can keep a distance at all times. During extended combats like boss fights or high level Prison of Elders rooms, where you can't just run out and grab ammo, the ability to keep shooting without running out is great. And even when melee enemies try to rush in, you won't be as overwhelmed as when you're using a real sniper, because you'll get some help with the hipfire. Although you're probably not going to crit, even getting that first body shot in makes it a lot easier to deal with the melee captains, invisible vandals, and knights. Now of course, if a target's moving slow like a exploded thrall, you can easily kill them with the hipfire. But as a sniper, it just doesn't dispatch enemies quickly enough even if your aim is good. I just can't help but think that my LDR can do better for sniper duties. At this point, I probably established the fact that this is a novelty weapon, so whether or not it is worth the exotic slot is entirely up to how much the fun factor weighs to you. However, in high level content like raids and 35 Prison of Elders, I would not recommend bringing this weapon. Instead, bring exotic heavies for reasons. So in PvE, it tries to fill the role between sniper and a fusion, but fails in both. Okay, so that was somewhat the pessimistic view for PvE. But how about in PvP? Well, as it turns out, it's not world breaking or absolutely amazing as to be expected of a novelty sniper rifle with a charge time. In fact, when you first pick it up, the chances are you're going to do terrible with it. But keep it up, because when you get used to the charge time and effort that you put in to be used to the charge rate is so worth it, simply due to the fun factor. Through my journey from being crappy with the bow to getting 6+ KDs with the bow, it really made me understand the nature of this gun in PvP. Now, the way you use this weapon is neither like pure sniper nor fusion. You gotta do a little bit of both. If you're too close, you will lose out to hand cannons, shotties, and normal fusions. If you have too much distance, you're an easy prey for a decent sniper. In my opinion, the bow has this sweet spot just outside the medium range where it is unstoppable. You can't lay back, but you can't rush in. You gotta move progressively and search for opportunities for kills rather than just sit there and snipe. Also, the gun is not hit scan, meaning that there is a small but noticeable delay between the time you fire and the time the shots land. So you need to aim a little bit ahead of where the enemy's going. Once you get the bullet time and the charge rate sorted out, you will be able to pick people off constantly from outside the mid-range and won't be disturbed too much by the snipers if you keep moving. Just know that you need to practice a lot to get this right, so if you're still doing terribly even after a week or two of using the bow, don't worry about it and keep trying. Additionally, the high aim assist and hidden hand help with that considerably. Obviously, pre-charge a little bit before firing to get an edge over the enemy. I found the bow to be pretty helpful actually in modes like Control, in which you can easily predict where the enemies are going to be. Additionally, combat sites don't have a sniper glint, so it will take a couple of kills before the enemy becomes used to your methods. Of course, they can still hear the charging, but it's not as obvious as a sniper glint. As to whether you should go with marksman or combat sites, even with the increased impact, you still can't kill somebody right off the revive, so due to the faster fire rate, omission of sniper glint, and lower zoom, I would almost always recommend combat site unless you are playing on a very sniper heavy maps like Skyshock. I've heard some people say that combat site's charge time is too fast for their taste, and I understand where they're coming from, but I would argue that getting used to a faster charge rate is very worth it since it allows for faster follow shots. And about the hipfire, use it conservatively, but do try to use it over ADSing when an enemy is close to you. So the main benefit of this weapon is that you can snipe all game without switching to anything else, and of course every kill is really satisfying. That's all there is to it. Sniping all game, keeping a distance so Mr. Thorn can't get you but not too far of a distance that snipers can't get you easily, getting used to the charge time, and having fun. If you see people start to teabag after you get a shot at them a couple of times, you know you're doing a damn well job. Additionally, since you have to predict where people is and will be to get a kill, this made me a considerably better sniper in PvP. Think of the charge rate as a little handicap you play with to have fun and to hone your skills. As for whether this would be worth the exotic slot or not, you need to consider your playstyle and weigh having a sniper all game versus being able to use exotic primaries like Hawkmoon, Thorn, or Red Death. For me, it's only worth the exotic slot when the other team is not great. When they are great, I definitely switch to a powerful exotic primary to better counter them. Now comes the obligatory comparison to other snipers and long-range fusions. You may be asking, what is a long-range fusion rifle? Well, a long-range fusion rifle is something like this or this. It has range increasing perks that seriously tightens up the spread of the bolts to the point that it's almost like a sniper rifle, but not really. In PvE, a sniper will hit harder and do more DPS and be actually able to stun lock enemies effectively. A fusion will be better at close ranges and deal more damage in situations where you will not be able to crit with the bow. But in PvP, you can still one-shot people in regular situations, so the lower than average damage and crit modifier really doesn't matter as much. While it's fun and you can do well with this weapon, you certainly can do even better with the regular sniper. But for the most part, you can use this effectively even against other snipers. You just need to make sure you have some sort of edge over them. If you compare the bow against fusion rifles, the bow with combat sights actually has faster charge rate than many of the high impact fusion rifles, so you can take them out from long ranges before they can even shoot you. You have the advantage in charge time and the range. Now if you want to compare this against long range fusion rifles that have a faster charge rate than your bow, I'd say while you need to be more accurate with the bow since you need to crit, you can engage reliably from just a little bit farther away from the fusion rifle's effective range. However, do note that the fusion rifles have the edge in closer ranges. The best part about the bow that neither snipers nor long-range fusion rifles can offer you is that it can allow you to play sniper for the entire game. In the off chance that someone rushes you and overwhelms you, you have hipfire as a clutch backup. So it really does fill the role between snipers and fusions pretty well. Now there is one more weapon that allows you to snipe all game, and that is No Land Beyond. It is also a novelty weapon, and while the comparison between the bow and the No Land Beyond is really complicated, I can simplify it to 3 points. First is the fact that No Land Beyond doesn't have charge time, but does have a long bolt action delay between shots of 3 whole seconds. Can you reload cancel consistently? Are you always able to land your first shot consistently? If the answer is yes, you might want to try the No Land Beyond over the bow. Second is the relative ease of use of the bow once you get used to it. The high aim assist along with lower zoom and much clearer sights mean that if you're used to the charge time, using the bow will be incredibly easy for you, whereas with No Land Beyond you still need to reload cancel without messing up. But No Land Beyond is hit scan, so it depends on your personal preference. I personally prefer the bow just because I feel like dealing with the charge time and leading your shots is easier than having to deal with the god-awful sight and zoom on the No Land Beyond. Lastly, the main difference comes in loadouts. With the bow, you can use it like a primary and have hand cannons or pulse rifles as a backup. With No Land Beyond, you can have an actual sidearm or a shotgun to cover the close range. I myself like hand cannons so much that using the bow with Red Hand or Jewel of Osiris fits my playstyle better than using No Land Beyond and Felwinch's Life. So consider which loadouts would fit your playstyle better. In conclusion, the bow is a difficult weapon to obtain and get used to, but once you do, it opens up a world of possibilities in PvP, allowing you to use it like a primary sniper throughout the whole game. It is extremely fun to use as long as you get used to the charge time. In PvE, it is lackluster, but is useful in certain extended combats where you need to keep your distance. In PvE, it is almost never worth the exotic slot, but in PvP, if you're good with the bow, it is very worth using it as your primary exotic. It is a B rank exotic in PvE and A rank in PvP. Oh, and between the Elder Cipher exotics, this is probably the best choice for PvP. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the much dreaded Greg's Promise review.